Hi everyone and welcome to the season recap number 4 where we discuss past 22-23 NHL season. And today we are going to discuss top 5 losers of past season in my opinion. At the 5th place I ranked Tampa Bay Lightning because in my opinion their first round exit is not enough to be happy with that as a Lightning fan. I think their squad is just too old and too tired because when you are at the top of the league for 2 or maybe more seasons, you will get tired. But that's not the only reason. Also, I should say that this Lightning squad is playing exactly the same like seasons when they won their cups, and now there is no changes in their game, so everybody can just watch their hockey and know what will they do. So that is the reason. Also, I should say that their players are not hungry anymore. Just imagine like Zegras coming to the Lightning. That would be so good because Zegras wants to win a cup, but Kucherov, Stamkos, Point, they already have won 2. So there is no there is no hunger for W's anymore. So I am so sad about Lightning exit in the first round this season because I thought that they can do something interesting later, like went to the finals or whatever, but they lost in the first round. That's so sad. But in my opinion, they have some potential to do something more, to make some noise like next season, but they need to add some fresh blood to their squad. That's my point. At the 4th place, I ranked Edmonton Oilers because every season we hear talks like this season is gonna be Oilers season, this season Oilers gonna win a cup, this season Oilers will crush everything on their way to the cup, but from season to season we see nothing but loses. And I mean loses like second round, third round, or even first round, because everybody is thinking that Oilers need some help for McDavid and Draisaitl, but I think that Draisaitl needs help in terms of playing in his own line, because Draisaitl is the guy who cannot play by himself like Connor McDavid. Draisaitl needs someone to be around him, to score, to pass. That's his style of playing. He needs someone at his left or at his right. But what about McDavid? McDavid is the guy who can and who likes to play by himself. He doesn't need any help because he wants to do everything by himself. And that's why I think that we need to differ help for Draisaitl and help for McDavid, because McDavid will not receive this help. You may add guys like Johnny Gaudreau, Jonathan Huberdeau, every player that fits him well, but he will not receive it. He will play by himself like he does from season to season. In my opinion, that's his problem. And for Oilers to win something, I'd like to recommend them trade one of those guys, because Draisaitl needs help while McDavid does not. So they need to find a right solution. They need to find a way to fit help and selfish playing of Connor McDavid. That's not just words, that's the fact. Connor McDavid played with a lot of great guys in this Oilers squad, and years ago he played with really great, experienced and skilled guys. But what do we see? We see like this guy is trying to skate from his net to the net of the opposite team, and he just tries to surprise, to do some insane goal. That's great, but that's not how hockey works. And in my opinion, while Oilers will make McDavid their first option, they will not win anything at all, because McDavid is not the guy who you can rely on in the cup games, because the cup games is the games where you really need to prove more than just like, I am the guy who can skate from my net to your net. That's not how it works. And even these playoffs, I remember that I told about it in some episodes, that these playoffs Draisaitl carried orders, not McDavid, because McDavid is just trying to do his stupid things, like he does it anytime that he sees some opportunity to do that. While Draisaitl is the guy who you can build a team around, who you can trust, who you can rely on, and who you can give some help and he will receive it, and then maybe you will see some changes. But as of right now, I don't really think that Oilers will make something more than second round, while McDavid is playing selfish, and I'm so sad about it, because I want to see Leon Draisaitl win the cup. Not McDavid, Draisaitl, because he really deserves it. As the third loser of this season, I ranked Washington Capitals, and I'll explain. In my opinion, Capitals are ruining this NHL in terms of beautiful hockey, because I watched some games this season of Capitals, and I should say that Capitals is the most ugliest team in the whole NHL, because they cannot play beautifully by themselves, and they will do everything. They will fight, they will punch, injure some players just to not let you play like that. So my point is, Capitals ruining hockey as the sense of hockey, because hockey is like you skate, you pass, you score. The only thing that Capitals really mastered at is passing to Ovi, and Ovi scores from his office. That's great. And I know that the only goal of Capitals nowadays is Gretzky records, and they will do anything for Ovi to reach those numbers. But I should say that that's not how hockey works. And while we are looking at the teams like Arizona, Blackhawks, like their goal is to tank, to draft some great youngsters, and that's all. They have no goal like of winning a cup. At the other side, we see teams like Wild, for example, Blues, maybe Lightning. Like their goal is to win a cup, and then we see Capitals, like their goal is just to help Ovi. I'm so frustrated about it, because while your GM of your team is saying that we have no goal to win a cup, we're just trying to help Ovi, we're just trying to help him to make history. In my opinion, that's so dumb, and I thought about it, because that's not how hockey works, and I know that Capitals will suffer for it, like 10 seasons. When Ovi will leave, they will be like Arizona as of right now. In my opinion, that's obvious, so that's so sad for me. As the second loser, I ranked Calgary Flames and their absolutely disappointed season. And I have two reasons for it. The first is Jonathan Huberdeau, who really, I don't even know how to call it, because last season this guy had 120 points. This season this guy had 55. So I don't really know. That's not a low score. That's not a downgrade. That's something more than a downgrade. I don't know these kind of words to describe this kind of downgrade. So, and the second reason, I just want to admit that Jacob Markstrom is a trash goalie. That's not how it works when you play one season so well, when you have 10 shootouts, when you finish second in the Vizina nominees, and then next season you play like a shit who cannot save anything at all. So that's not how it works. Last season I really thought about Marky being a great goalie, and a guy who can save this problem, who can solve this problem for Flames for long years. Like he has 4 or 3 years left of his deal. But then I just looked at his stats while he was at the Canucks. Then one great season at the Flames, and then we see his real level. He's so trash, and Yubi is so trash. As a Flames fan, I did cry a lot this season. I'm so sad. I was angry a lot of times, but that's not the point. The point is new GM, new coach. Maybe we'll see some changes, but in my opinion, the Flames is really in trouble with those deals with Huberdeau, Kadri, and Mackenzie Weegar. And also, I should say that Nazem Kadri is the guy who ruined everything around him. Like, I can and I will tell you something about Yubi that will make some sense. But what about Nazem Kadri? You know, the All-Star game. It was at December, if I'm not mistaken, and then after an All-Star game, he had only 4 points till the end of the season. But I just want to say that there are 3 months before the season ends from the All-Star game. What was that? Because this guy played with almost every player in the Flame squad, and he could not perform for his money. He could not even perform for like $1 because this guy really did not anything. But what about the UB? Jonathan Huberdeau is the guy who was misunderstood last season. I will explain. First half of the season, he really played bad, but he tried to found his style with these guys, with new guys. But Sutter was really thinking that I don't need time, he will play like as of right now, and he changed his line mates almost every line. That's not how it works, but first half of the season, Huberdeau is trying to found himself. Then, next half of the season, last half of the season, he played really well. I watched every game, and I can tell you that Jonathan Huberdeau was just misunderstood. Nobody could understand him. And now, with new coach, with new players, and I hope they will sign some, I can tell you that Jonathan Huberdeau will be a top 5 players next season. That's my point. Huberdeau will be at 5 best players next season. Mark my words, guys. But about this season, I'm really sad about it. At the first place, I ranked Pittsburgh Penguins because I don't remember a time when they last missed playoffs. And I can tell you why they missed it. Because, their goalies are so inconsistent, and Desmith is the guy who is not even good for a backup. Jarry is the guy who is inconsistent and who can do some great saves, and then he can let a puck go from the neutral zone. Their offense is so old, they just cannot compete with those guys, with those young guys. Their defense is not that good. But as of right now, with Erik Karlsson trade, I really think that they have some changes because Karlsson is hungry. Karlsson needs to win a cup to become one of the best defenders in the history of this game. So he will do everything. He will make Chris Letang better because when a person wants to do something better, everybody around him will change for it because as of right now, in my opinion, the first power of this Penguins team will be not Crosby, not Malkin, not Gensel, not anybody else, but Erik Karlsson. That's my point. But they need to improve their goalies for it because Jarry is not the guy who you can rely on in the cup games. In my opinion, that's obvious because the last cup that they have won was when Marc-Andre Fleury wasn't there net. And Jarry was as a backup, if I'm not mistaken. So they need to improve it. But them re-signed Jarry for like 5 or 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. And in my opinion, that's so trash. That's so trash because they needed to trade him. While Gibson was free, while Hellebuck wants to leave, that's when they needed to trade him. Maybe they could add something more, some picks, some players to Jarry, but they needed to even try to get those players. But they did not, and that's so sad. So that's all I wanted to discuss with y'all. Thank you for listening. Hear you soon.